Hey, happy Friday. I wanted to give kind of a mid-month reading update. So far, I've finished 6 books, and all of them, these were the 6, all of them except for Peaches and Pucks, I was able to listen to and read along. Um, so briefly, I do have a full video for Wonderfully Wicked by Kamy Lavin, 5-star Cinderella retelling with some Wicked tie-ins. Of course, you can tell with the stepmother here, who's green. But there's a whole lot more to it. There's a cool magic system. There's a cool story. I also got glimpses of some other fairy tales in here, though Cinderella is the main one. But highly recommend. This is Kamy's debut novel. This is part of a series, and I think there's going to be anywhere from 4 to possibly 6 in this. But Dual Timelines, great book. Check it out. Read it. I've tagged Kamy. You can go get it directly from her with some cool swag. And thank you again, Larry, for sending that to me. This second book was a thriller, and this was a book fairy gift from Heather G. So thank you, Heather G. Audio is great. This involves a creature, or what's thought of as a creature, that's hiding out in this kind of forest, mountainy range. But there is a influencer that goes missing, and her brother and some of his friends come to this area to try to find her, but they end up becoming hunted as well. Very suspenseful, very tense. Darcy Coates, this is the first book I've read by Darcy Coates. I know that a lot of others really like their style, their thrillers. I'm picturing some with like winter on the cover, but this was really good. Very intense, and the mystery you might figure out, but it's still, this reads like it would be like a cool thriller film. This is from M.A. Wardell. It's his kind of venture into the MM hockey romance. Oops, as all the goodies fall out. That sounded dirty. But anyway, this comes out in a couple of weeks. The first Tuesday in February, so that's going to be like February 3rd or 4th. But again, this is Darius and Harry. They're teachers at an elementary school, and as you can see, some romance develops between them. He's the coach of the Pee Wee hockey team, and he is an English teacher, and there is a connection there. But like all M.A. Wardell, he writes great in the teacher area romance. I think this is a different school though than his Teachers in Love series, but still spicy, also sweet. Banter's great, the characters are great. Highly recommend. Again, comes out in a couple weeks. I did check this out too. This was one of my book of the month selections in what month? July. This involves a woman who we never get her name. She's the narrator, but her husband is admitted to an affair, and then during these proceedings, she also gets diagnosed with breast cancer. So she names the tumor Maggie, who is the woman that her husband is having an affair with. This is very contemporary. It's very kind of in her head, but also there's a lot of conversations with her best friend, Darlene, I believe. But you get her side, how she's trying to process this, and I thought it was great. I liked the dynamic. I liked the way, like I said, she's kind of internalizing and processing these things, the divorce, being a single mother, not really knowing what to do. She's also Asian, or I think she may be biracial, a white parent and a Chinese parent. And the reason this kind of has this subtitle is she hears her husband, before the announcement of the affair, he's like telling a bedtime story to the kids, and the kids seem much more involved in that story. So she wants to be that parent for her kids too. So she gets like a joke book. And so this is kind of, I think, a play on her wanting to be like the fun parent in there. But I liked it. I would recommend this. And then this was a buddy read with Cathye, Orion Reads, Miss Pants, Heather, and also with Katie Holder, Katie H. This is book 2 in the Scythe series. This is Thunderhead by Neal Shusterman. We buddy read book 1, Scythe, in December. We're now working on book 3, or will be this weekend, The Toll. This is a YA fantasy series. It is amazing. This book, I think we all rated 5 stars. I think we all rated the first book 5 stars too, but this had us really emotionally invested, and we're like sharing on Storygraph, so our conversations were quite, I think, insightful and fun. Me, I tend to, like, if lines stick out to me, I'll type those in there, or I'll be like, WTF when when something major happened. But there are a lot of parallels, especially when you get sections from the Thunderhead, which is like this, not really a god, but it's like this overseeing being that is not really controlling, but it's kind of like this non-bodied thing that is sees into everyone's lives, except for part of the Sighs line. The Sighs are individuals chosen who are gleaning the people because they've solved diseases, they've solved any kind of conflict that you can have. They're kind of in this utopia, but not. So you have the Thunderhead, which again is like this all-seeing, and then you have the Sighs who are responsible for keeping the population controlled, basically. But this, very intense, very great. Book 3 is, I'm sure, going to be equally as great. And then so far, this classic, I picked this because it was like one of the top banned books of all time, The Bluest Eye. I guess in a sense I could see why it may be banned from, say, like a middle school and elementary school, possibly even some high schools, just because of the subject matter. Not that I agree with that, but I could see how it's a very intense read for, I would say, someone under the age of 16, 17, 18, but again, that would be the call of the person and or their parent. But this is the first Toni Morrison that I've read, and her prose, her language, her word choices are amazing. And again, like with other stories, I've kind of highlighted things that I like the way it was said, or I like the emotion that it made me feel. But there is a lot that goes on in this kind of short book. You have essay, you have of a child, you have incest relations, you have just spousal abuse, you've got poverty, you've got racism, you've got so much packed into this intense work. And the title is because one of the young girls wants to have blue eyes, because this is in the 30s, the 40s, and she is a young black girl. She's constantly referred to as ugly, and every doll, everyone who she sees in the world that has good things happen to them have blonde hair and blue eyes, and so her dream is to have blue eyes. But this is very intense. If you've never read Toni Morrison, do check this out. Do check your trigger warnings. We'll probably have to find that through some general area, because this book is what, 50, 60 years old? I think it was her first published book in 1970. Yes, 1970. And she does the actual narration if you listen to the audiobook, but super intense, but super impactful, and highly recommend. I would say this is at the top of my list so far of the 6 that I've read. They've all been wonderful. They've all had their impact. They've all had their places in my mind, but I think The Bluest Eye is my top read so far. But here's the 6 that I've read, and I'll pause here and I'll try to put the ones that I'm working on now or hope to get before the end of the month, or at least at some point soon in the year. More buddy reads, more just a mixture of things that I like, because I like everything. All right. And yeah, all right.